Hey, and welcome to the Rada Explained series. In this video, we'll be going through the defensive planes and all the important details in using them. Rada does not give any drills for them, but he says they're important to understand before moving on to Atajo. We will focus on the left and right defensive plane, not the upper plane. You can control the opponent's blade by being on top of the blade or by being below the blade. Most of the principles are the same, but there are differences, so we're going to look at them separately. It is important that you turn the lower edge towards their sword, putting 3 on 2, meaning you're mid-strong on their mid-weak. This gives you strength in the bind. Keep the guard roughly at the height of the belly button, while the tip around head height. This is a simplification of it, but the point is to make your weapon cover a large vertical area and force the disengages to be larger. If your weapon is too horizontal, it is easy for them to disengage and attack you low. The point does not have to be towards the target. The most important of all, and the biggest factor by a magnitude, is to be behind the sword. Your body, arm and sword in one line facing towards their blade, and you force them to push into your strong structure. This both protects you and gives you immense strength. If they want to take your sword, they have to push to the side, away from your body. It can't be overstated just how important it is to be behind the sword, for defensive planes, but also for the fencing in general. When making the shifts of the defensive plane from left to right, it is important to use the turning of the body to move the sword, not to move the hand left or right. This makes you stronger, less tired, and free up the hand to be used at a later point when necessary. First and foremost, the most important thing when taking the defensive plane from below is that you have a loose grip of the hand, so you don't overextend your wrist. This grip will feel very weak, but don't worry. You'll still have a sturdy enough grip, and the other advantages you have will compensate. You will still have the 3 on 2, moving the guard with your body, and still the most important part is being behind the sword. Even more important that you are behind the sword, as it is the biggest factor and you no longer have gravity on your side and your grip is looser. Finally, the last bit that is important now, that you take the defensive plane from below, is that your guard is high up enough to defend your face. The opponent can cut over your guard and kill us if you're not careful. The true wealth of the system comes not from either part alone, but how they interact with each other. The opponent has two main ways to handle the initial engagement, either by escaping or by pushing through your sword. Let's look at them from the perspective of the high defensive plane. If they try to escape you by disengaging, the most common path is below. When you are behind the sword, they are forced to first move away from your body to find an open target. But this will threaten you below as they do it. The solution is that you shift from the high defensive plane to the low. By doing this, you chord off where they are going. Important when doing this is that it's not a circular chase after them, but a shift of the weapon from high to low, combined with the rotation of the body. This is what makes it so that you chord them off instead of chasing them. If they try to push through your sword, they will first have to push away from your body, since you were behind the sword. When they push away from your body, you let them push, since they are not a threat to you yet. You yield your blade and defend with the hilt of your sword behind their push. You make a shift from high to low while rotating your body again. You're pretty much doing the same motion, except in a different situation. Combining all this and you get a solid defense not only against the situation at hand, but what follows after it. You can remain covered at all times and handle them trying to flee or overpower. This is the fundamentals to taking the defensive planes in preparation of Atajo. This is not the only way to take them, as the defensive planes are not a technique, but an abstract concept. The fundamental pattern in Rada's system is to get the opponent in one of the defensive planes, then close the distance to set up an attack or series of attacks, then move out or grab their sword. In my next video, I will show some drills I use to practice the defensive planes. Since the defensive planes are an integral part to the Atajo, I think it's important to first get a good grasp of the concept of the defensive planes before adding more moving parts.